everything is a reflection of your relationship with your inner being. And if you tend to that relationship first, every other relationship with every person, place, or thing will be good. You see, your inner being is the first front of actualized expansion as a result of you. Esther was getting herself ready, and she was thinking, there's not really enough time to really get myself ready. And then she thought, oh, well, this isn't about me, this is about Abraham. And no one really cares what Abraham's hair looks like. They'll just be brilliant and no one will notice. And we said to Esther, you are the manifested version of Abraham. In other words, she is the actualization of that which is Abraham. And so, in other words, who is your inner being? Well, your inner being is expanding as a result of that which you are about. But then you are the reflection back of that expansion. We're taking this cycle of life to a new place of understanding, aren't we? So you were source energy, you were that inner being, which is really not the easiest thing to describe in your physical terms because it is consciousness. So you are this non-physical consciousness, and a part of that flows into that which is you here in this physical body, where you explore and expand. And that source within you, your inner being, becomes the immediate vibrational equivalent of that expansion. Now, that's all freedom. In other words, you freely came, you wanted to so much. You freely explore and you freely shoot rockets of desire without even realizing that you are doing that. It is a natural consequence of your focus. So, because of your freedom, you're selfish. We have to put selfish in there because we can't talk about freedom without the realization of self. Your selfish perspective, you are able to discern wanted and unwanted. I like that more than that. I like that even more than that. In other words, those preferences are constantly born within you, born from you. And as those rockets of desire or those preferences move into that vibrational vortex that we've been talking about, your inner being becomes that expanded version of you, freely and joyously and appreciatively. So then your work is to find a way to be a vibrational match to that expansion. Even though you have become that, you are at all moments in time free to join it or not, free to experience the resonance of it, or free to disallow your resonance of it. But your inner being, who has benefited by your exposure to life, is also free to choose. But your inner being chooses that alignment. Because you see, your inner being has an inner being who has an inner being who has an inner being who has an inner being. And all of that is aligned with that well-being that humans scantily and without understanding it hardly at all call God. That energy stream, that consciousness of well-being, that stabilizing influence of all that is. And in any moment, every point of consciousness all along the way has the freedom to choose alignment and resonance with that or not. Because in every particle of the universe, there is wanted and absence of wanted. And every point of consciousness has the option of choosing. Most points of consciousness are choosing easily. The subatomic particles, most of the beasts of your planet all choosing alignment because the dominance of that well-being is so pervasive. And, hear this, and because they are not focused consciousness into the contrast with the express purpose of taking thought beyond that which it has been before, like you are, you see. Starting to feel more appreciation of who you are in all of this. We're talking about the evolution of all species. We're talking about the absolute freedom to be. But we cannot speak of freedom without putting enormous emphasis upon the overriding, underlying, empowering, pervasive, all-inclusive vibration of well-being, which you have the freedom to choose in this moment or not. So you kind of get how when you choose not to allow it, it feels so off. It's a big stream. It's a big stream that will dominate and will prevail regardless of what any of you do anytime, which is our way of saying you can't get it wrong. People talk often of, we're just going to mess this planet up. We're going to get so out of focus and so out of balance, and we're going to do so many of the wrong things, which is a person's way of saying you're not doing what I want you to do. That's usually what they mean. Oh, you're destroying the planet. If you would behave more like me, it wouldn't be destroyed. And we say, it's not being destroyed. It's being rediscovered. It's being re-perpetuated. It's being re-energized. It's being refocused. There aren't enough of you here in your disconnection to destroy this planet. It's in the state of becoming. It's in an utter state of well-being. But you have the freedom to know that or not. You have the freedom to choose the thought that wrenches your gut and makes you worried and makes you misbehave. Or you have the freedom to accept the well-being and look for evidence of it and tune yourself to the frequency of that. Your inner being, in its alignment, will never choose away from what you really want. It might choose, and often does, choose differently than what you're vibrationally choosing. But that's why you have the benefit of that guidance, you see. And we think you're brilliant to intertwine the subject of this with freedom, because you're wondering, just how free am I? If I don't choose what my inner being chooses, then what will happen? If you don't choose in any moment what your inner being chooses, what happens? Does your inner being cave in and come with you? Esther thinks we should. Or does your inner being just stand its well-being ground, leaving you the freedom to join or not? You see, beaming the signal, shining the light, being the well-being, the inner well-being, the inner being well-being, that you have the option of joining or not, joining or not, joining or not. Really good conversation. Haven't had this one before. The cells of your body are lined up with your inner being as well. And in the absence of resistance, which you're introducing through contradictory thought, the cells of your body have free rein to thrive. But if you are chronically crossways of the resonance with your own well-being, then while the cells of your body are doing their best to align, it is a more difficult situation for them. So that's why the evidence of your alignment, that resonance of alignment, feels like, in an emotional sense, joy, feels like appreciation, feels like exhilaration. But an even more vivid, actualized version of that alignment feels like vitality, feels like energy, feels like flexibility, feels like endurance, feels like well-being, you see. So your next question is, do my cells have the freedom to choose? And we say, yes. And the cells of your body are choosing, but they are influenced by the overriding vibration of your being, because you are the chooser of that alignment. They are all thriving. It's sort of like, it's exactly like, Well, it's sort of like every analogy is almost perfect. It's like as a peoples upon your planet, you are all choosing individually and not necessarily choosing with awareness of what would be best for the whole. But ultimately, and we're reaching far out there and asking you to come with us, even though it may be a stretch for you. When it comes right down to it, what's good for any individual is really what's best for the whole. And standing in a place where you're pushing against what you think is best, then you disconnect yourself from the good of the whole, you see. We're getting out there, starting to feel a little muddy to you. So let's pull back into the part of it that is clearer and just acknowledge that well-being happens, deal with it. Focus upon what's working and more will work. Focus upon what's not working and more will not work. Focus on what's working and choose that. Focus on what isn't working and choose that. And whatever you choose, law of attraction promises to produce momentum about until you will be inspired to act in all manner of ways. Don't you love that? Your words will be inspired. Your rendezvous will be inspired. Your choices will all be inspired. You don't have access to these choices when you're here. The entire world compensates and adjusts to your vibration. You're that special. Sometimes you don't feel that special. Sometimes you say, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. But the universe is saying, it's what you're asking for. And you're saying, no, it isn't what I'm asking for. I ask for what I put in my vortex. And so the universe is saying, but this is all of what you're asking for that you are allowing. You have the rest muted by your habit of thought. And you have the freedom to adjust that. Just don't ask yourself to do it all at once and things will go easier. And feel appreciation of where you stand. Esther and friends were basking in some delicious stuff yesterday. And Esther said, satisfied with where we are and eager for more. Perfect. That's the perfect place to be vibrationally. Satisfied with what is. No matter what it is. I chose it by my vibration. I'm allowing it by virtue of what momentum I've got going on. I accept it. Therefore, I'm satisfied with it and eager for what will come next as I deliberately raise my vibration into higher and higher stratospheres. We've enjoyed this interaction more than words can convey. And it is so satisfying to us to spend time with those like you who are wanting to understand in powerful, flowing vibration. And then to get to play with you and discover your willingness to playfully move up that emotional scale into those higher frequencies where you can experience the revelation of what you're asking for and to watch it happen right before your eyes. It just does not get any better than this. Manifested realization of everything that we've ever been teaching. You are the manifestors of this. And you have done really good work here. We are in the vortex. We're right there with you in all that you do.